Well, good evening and good to be with you again on News Geelong. I follow the footy, and I guess many of you do. Some of you won't, but even if you don't, well, you might find this a little bit interesting. I often use football as a sort of an allegory of the way in which we live life, in terms of, footy is it's a competition. There are boundaries, there are directions, there are different players, forward and defence. You can look at it as a whole analogy with the way in which we live life. And so it was, at a certain degree, by the way, pardon my croaky voice, nothing I can do if it's not the swine flu, but hopefully I'll be over it in a day or two. But I looked with interest on the debate a few days ago between Hawthorn President Jeff Kennett and the AFL, and about his comments, Jeff Kennett's comments about the umpires becoming bigger than the game itself, and I think particularly it referred to them being on microphones and so on, and therefore becoming in some ways sort of characters and personalities within the game at a level that we've never really been used to in days gone by. And the AFL, of course, as you may have picked up, came down like a proverbial ton of bricks and say, no, the umpires are literally untouchable, as the players know, and certainly in terms of anything that even is remotely criticism. But in fact, as I read his comments, they weren't so much directed as the umpire's performance, but more the AFL strategy of really making them into a personality part of the game. Anyhow, it raises the issue, I suppose, of the component parts of an organisation, such as the clubs, and the body which, on the one hand, you might say coordinates them, and from another perspective, you might say governs them. Of course, there's a difference between the two. Coordinating is not a matter of authority, it's a matter of saying, now, okay, we've got various members of this organisation. Doesn't matter whether it's a football competition or whether it's a business with various franchises or any number of different other organisations or parts of a social group or whatever. We've got these various groups which technically are autonomous in their own right, and we'll coordinate them and help them work well together. And if anyone wants to walk away from it, well, they can within the context of an agreement. That's coordination. Governing is another story. Governing says, well, we're in charge and this is what you've got to do. It seems to me, I might be wrong, but it seems to me that the AFL has moved from being a coordinating body, perhaps maybe going back to the VFL days and so on, where somebody has to organise the fixture and work out the tribunals and those sort of things, to be very much a controlling body on so many different levels. When a governing body becomes a controlling body and no longer looks at assistance, but rather becomes more concerned with certainly what appears to be exercising its own authority and its own power over the component members, you normally are moving into very troubled waters, because the component parts on the ground, whether it's the shops in an organisation or whether it's the different branches of a group, or whether it's, in this case, an individual football club, a group of people who get together who want to play footy and work in coordination with others to organise a competition, when you lose the confidence of those integral members, or when they feel that they're being pushed around at a level that doesn't really make a great deal of sense, all that can happen is that things are going to start to fall apart and just go from bad to worse. The coordinating bodies often say, we're not here to run the show, we're here to help. But it can be a big temptation to move from helping to really running the show and exercising the power. It's been an interesting exercise, and the AFL, of course, I think sensed this and seemed to back off and didn't want to get any more embroiled in the debate. And I think ultimately Hawthorn President Jeff Kennett had had the last word. Of course, he's probably reasonably experienced at doing that, but it was wise of the AFL, I would suggest, to not take it any further, simply because those sort of things can just go very much from bad to worse. Some of us were involved in component parts on the ground. Some of us are part of coordinating or possibly even controlling bodies. Getting the balance between those two is very hazardous, and we need to constantly subject ourselves to some internal scrutiny to make sure we're not just trying to, if we're part of a governing or controlling body, that we're not just trying to seek control for power's sake. Good to be with you, and hopefully we'll catch up again next week.